All right. Another episode of Real Time. Start the clock.
Election is only 2 months away, and of course, happens every time, it's tied. Does it even matter who runs? Every year we do this, it's tied. It always comes down to a few thousand people in 3 states who can't make up their mind between 2 items on the menu.
Yeah, but there's a lot of policies.
All year in LA, I think I've seen one Trump sign, and Scott Baio was sleeping under it. Just a joke. We kid. It was 104 today here. It was 118 in the Valley. I was sweating like Jake. Trump and Kamala. Trump says he doesn't know whether Kamala's Indian or she'll be black that night. So he's preparing 2 sets of slurs.
2 slurs.
Kamala wanted the mics on when the other guy was talking so we could find out what a nut Trump is, you know. And Trump wanted them off. And Trump won, the microphones will be off. And this is weird. He also asked that my microphone be turned off. J.D. Vance is a solid rock.
What is that?
And then he said, and you know what? I'm a very solid rock. That's so Trump. He always has to be better. Even when he's calling you a rock, he has to be a better rock. The music that the Republican plays at their rallies is not the people they're playing don't play our music. Rage Against the Machine had to tell the guy, look, we hate you, we think you are the machine.
Yeah.
That's why we're raging. Trump has been playing Hold On, I'm Coming, and he said, no, you can't play Hold On, I'm Coming. And Trump said, oh, when else am I ever going to hear that? Come on.
Oh.
Desert Storm back in the early 90s. Then you went back to Iraq for the Iraq War.
Man.
Afghanistan. Wow, 3 wars in one lifetime.
What a privilege it is to serve and defend the country. And I really,
Yeah. My son's a Marine.
Including their
Shout out to everybody serving in the military, past and present.
A good military unit.
And future.
Saddam Hussein was trying to convince all of us he had nuclear weapons because he thought that was the best way for him to prevent an attack. Of course, after 9/11, that's the way
I didn't know
to
that.
actually incite an attack against you. And so it is really necessary to defeat these enemies of all civilized people, to take away their safe havens.
I couldn't agree more. It's how we do it that we're arguing.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Do we need to occupy whole countries?
Same thing with Israel right now.
I seem to have a lot of problems with both sides. I would describe it as reckless versus feckless. You think Trump...
Yeah, that's a good one.
Look, I would say we have 4 enemies in the world. We have China, we have Russia, we have North Korea, and we have Iran.
I agree.
Why are we applauding our enemies? Hey, let's get 5. No.
It's the
Illegal aliens. I mean the really illegal ones, the ones from outer space. Look, we see this thing and we cannot explain it.
Right.
Look, you're a military man. You guys must talk about this. What's going on?
That's my next book, Bill. I can't talk about it. No.
The president would have to know, when you got into office, if there was Area 51 and this was going on, they would have to inform the president. Trump was president.
Well, I don't know about that.
Blabbed it by now.
Yeah. I think that those sightings are natural phenomena. Like those electric balls in Switzerland. I think it's Switzerland. They can't even explain those. And they know they're not UFOs, but it's something that happened naturally by the earth. It's either that, it's either electricity forming some kind of sphere, or insect, an animal. Because it maneuvers like an animal, like an insect. But that wouldn't explain the speed, because they go really fast. So it has to be electronic.
It's America, so we had a school shooting when schools go back into session, and we're going to
it's normal now.
It happens. Now they're blaming the parents.
That's different.
This is not the first time this happened. This father, you can't buy a gun if you're 14, but you can have one. Wrap your mind around that. I think the problem here is that parents just don't have the ability to say no to kids for anything.
You know what would instantly solve this problem? The school shooting problem? Bring back Zoom school. That I don't care what people say that the test scores went down during COVID, during a lockdown. I don't believe that. I think that's the teachers' union trying to spin it. That way they could justify their budgets and all that. Not only would it help with school shootings, but a lot less bullying, maybe even eradicate it. Some might say, oh, they have to learn to interact. They can, just at their own leisure. Whenever they go with their friends or something to a movie or go back to the mall and hang out like we used to. But school, at this point, they're not safe. In a lot of places, they're not safe. And all the money that would be saved from building schools and stuff, you know? And two birds with one stone, you could house the homeless in those schools.
Who you should be able to boss around. That's why we can make them wear uniforms and eat fish sticks or whatever the fuck we do. We just don't do it anymore.
I favor guns we have a Second Amendment for hunting, for sport, for self-defense. You don't need a weapon of war in our streets to do that.
Yeah.
Red flag law, but the problem is the places that have them, no one uses them. So this really needs to be a culture. If you see something, you got to say something.
I don't know, man. The FBI, I think it was the FBI, or just, law enforcement went and talked to the kid and to the parent. So if all those red flag laws were in place, and, he just putting stuff online, there's no proof of what he was really attempting to do. All they can do is try to scare him. But I don't know. This thing's very, very, very hard to prevent. So what's the point in having all those background checks and all that? And I don't think it'll help. It'll help, but it won't prevent it 100%. I always thought that there should be a law in the books where you got to have someone else co-sign you buying that gun. Because most shooters are lone gunmen. But this one's different because the parent bought it for the kid. But the one I hate the most is the Uvalde shooter, and he got all those guns. He got them all by himself. So maybe if there was someone else there, a friend, a parent, or someone who he would have to ask him, hey, I need you to co-sign. Hopefully, you would think they would say no, if they know his mental history. That might help.
If they passed the law and I'm a parent, I'm in the home, what is this red flag
Well, first
law?
of all,
What do I have?
you're a parent and you know your kid is disturbed, having problems,
there you
and
go.
Is interested
As
in
this
one of
kid
these events.
was.
Yes, correct. Virginia Tech shooting, worst school shooting in America. 32, I believe, Virginia Tech kids. Horrific. It was a handgun.
I agree with that. We spend
A
way too much
handgun.
time. But this seems to make sense, to hold the parents responsible. It reminds me a little bit of the change this country made in recent years with cops. No matter what the cops do, they say, well, it was by the book, and none of them ever are put in jail. That changed. Now we put lots of cops in jail when they do things cops shouldn't do.
Thank God.
And I feel like this is progress to me.
Going after the parents, that'll work with the underage shooters, but what about the adult? That could work because as far as the underage school shooters go, a while back they made a law where if your kid doesn't go to school, he or she is absent too many times, they'll go after you, the parent. And that really motivated parents to take their kids to school. So hopefully they'll create some kind of law, a federal law, where the parents will be held accountable to some degree.
If they need to get in touch with their parents, there's a payphone, right? And they can use it for free even, and they can contact their parents that way, right?
Payphone.
I'm a Neanderthal on this. All screens are the enemy. They are distraction machines.
Look at Bill, he's like, what the hell is he talking about?
I agree, but I'm not for bringing back the payphone.
No, I don't think
That's what I'm saying. Like, what?
conservative. They'll say they need them, or the kids will say, I need them to get in touch with my parents. There are other ways to get in touch with their parents.
Of course there are, and it ain't going to be a payphone. The point is, though, that this isn't...
Because, Bill, kids are not quite as easy to handle as you might think. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
So I read a third of kids are now behind grade level. Yes, she said.
I think that was the same person who applauded for our enemies, too.
In my day, we used to call getting left back. I remember when I had to get on the payphone and tell my mom that. The kids in my era, even the dumbasses, could have passed an exit exam when they when we were leaving high school. Like, do you know basic shit? Even Stevie Murkowski could answer.
Oh, that's probably a real person.
I remember when tourism posters were all about, come to see us, we want you to come. Now we need anti-tourism posters. And we found a few. Would you like to see the people? If you think our food goes right through you, just wait till you see our bullets. That one's okay. Los Angeles, see our historic homeless encampments.
Oh, yeah. That should be a California one.
And Amsterdam. You know you can get stoned in America now, right?
Oh, that's right.
So it's a little bit like, P.J. O'Rourke used to say about politicians, the really disturbing thing about politicians is they're not in it for the money. So it's the same thing with these guys. They're saying this.
It's so true. You really want Trump to lose this election, right? No, you don't? Really?
What?
Wouldn't it be easier to get rid of him? Because if he lost another election, that would be 2018, 2020, 2022.
That's what I'm saying.
2024. But I think this would be it for him. I think he'd still be, he's not like Joe Biden. He's not going to go peacefully and out to pasture. But Republicans will have had enough of Trump.
Or he finally kicks the bucket. You never know. Because he doesn't look too healthy now. He's fine. He's starting to show his age. I've said it before. The only good thing about him becoming president is that he can never become a president again. So he'll stop being all over the news, and maybe not the news, but he won't be involved in politics anymore. But if he doesn't kick the bucket and he doesn't become president, we're gonna keep hearing about him over and over and over. Because there's no limit to how many times you could try to run for president. But what Bill's saying, I don't know if he'll lose so many supporters that he won't have the push that he has now. I think a lot of Republicans hate him. They hate his guts, but they have to go with the voters, and he has a stranglehold on all of them. So, Lord forbid they actually speak against him. But if he were to lose again, maybe they would. Maybe they'll get tired of him and his supporters. A lot of them.
I totally reject the idea that in the space of 48 hours, she went from a subpar vice president, everyone recognized as such, all of a sudden to the second coming of Barack Obama.
That is a little weird. They hated her at first, to now. But I think what they did was it was really, really smart. If it was intentional. She was like one of the most silent vice presidents in a very long time. You didn't hear almost anything about her. It's almost like they used her for the woman vote, and then, okay, just be quiet in the background, don't do anything, don't say anything, because they don't really like you. And with enough time, people forget. Americans have a very short attention span. They'll forget about something that was a big deal a week ago or a day ago. Look at Trump getting shot. That went away real fast. So people forgot that they didn't like Kamala Harris. And now he's right. He's like, she's the second coming of Barack Obama.
If Donald Trump loses, he'll question the election, right? And deny he lost.
Yes.
If he wins, guess what's going to happen? He's not going to question the election, right? And
That's your selling point?
Do you think
It's a terrible argument. Much more important.
Pass the law. Pass the law.
Well, you want to answer the question.
Pass the law.
They weren't listening to him. They were just fighting among themselves.
Can't you two see you're in love? Everything you guys both said, I could argue either side because there's nuances to either side that you just don't want to acknowledge. Now, in the past, Taylor Swift was She was always in the same box with Brittany Mahomes.
Wow, very, very important
And
stuff.
now, they can't sit in the same box. I guess because Brittany liked some of Trump's tweets and Taylor's for Kamala. Don't you think partisanship has gone too far?
But not for that reason, but I do.
All right, now it's time for new rules, everybody.
New rule.
And said she'd barely rotted at all, and that proves something. Have to be more specific. I've got sauerkraut in the fridge from 2005, but it's
Sauerkraut.
it's not on its way to becoming a saint. It's on its way to becoming alcohol. But the ironic thing is, my Miracle Whip, that went bad.
Miracle.
The women who buy this gynecologist-recommended anti-sagging bra have to answer one question. If this issue necessitates your gynecologist getting involved, just how far are your breasts sagging? I mean, animals develop camouflage to blend into the environment and evade predators. Someone else to explain cows.
Yeah, what's up with that?
No wonder Donald Trump can catch them and eat them all. You know what the ick is, right? It's a term mostly used in the dating world to describe that moment when one of the people, usually the man, does something so icky that the woman cannot forgive it or forget it. Paying for dinner with a coupon. Doing disabled voice, to humping the flag, to last week getting into a shoving match. And don't get me started on jerking off two guys at once. The one person in Hollywood who doesn't have a single enemy. Well, now she does. Because she didn't throw her husband under the bus when her husband made a decision about something which she's made plain she disagrees with. Thousands tweet screamed at Cheryl things like, "How do you live with yourself? Do better." The tweet that got the most attention was from actor Bradley Whitford, who wrote, "Hey, Cheryl Hines, way to stay silent while your lunatic husband throws his support behind the adjudicated rapist who brags about stripping women of their fundamental rights. Gutsy. Great example for the kids, profile and courage." You want to know why I have a bug up my ass about the left more than I used to? It's shit like this. It's an ugliness they never used to have. Going after the wife, even the mafia doesn't do that.
Oh.
There's a lot of people these days who I call liberals in theory. In theory, they hate bullying. Terrible. In practice, their attitude is, it's not bullying when I stick your head in the toilet.
Right?
This guy can't even understand one of the most basic dilemmas common to all humans, that when you're married, sometimes you have to swallow some shit.
Man. They're like, yeah.
Take one for the team, do things you don't want to do. Look, marriage is like a bong. For it to work, you have to take a few hits.
Oh, yeah. Bong, bong, bong.
But I promise you, no couples counselor has ever said, "Have you tried screaming at each other?" It's exactly what Barack Obama had just told the Democrats at their convention not to do.
Our politics have become so polarized these days that all of us across the political spectrum seem so quick to assume the worst in others. Unless they agree with us on every single issue, we start thinking that the only way to win is to scold and shame and out-yell the other side.
Bradley, did you go to the bathroom or something when that came out?
Right.
I kid, Don. We'd love to have you on the show.
Oh, imagine that.
President Obama, if you would, one more time, please.
Our fellow citizens deserve the same grace we hope they'll extend to us.
So I get it. Trump makes us crazy. He just does. I found a gray hair myself the other day. You don't like Trump, then don't be like him. Okay.
There you go.
Our show will be at the Cobb Energy Center
All right. Catch you on the next one.